I'm just Nick, and this is the Akai Head Rush delay. So that'll give you a sense of what the pedal sounds like. Let's talk a little bit about what it's actually doing. This particular delay pedal is a digital delay that is designed to emulate a multi-head tape delay. What that means is that it outputs multiple sets of echoes that are repeating at different times. And this allows us to create a three-dimensional kind of soundscape because we can route these different sets of echoes to different amplifiers or different inputs on a live sound or recording console. And what we've got going on here today is we're routing 3 of the 5 available outputs to 3 different amplifiers, one on my right, one behind me, one on my left. And we're recording the whole thing with a single stereo microphone that's right here over my head that's basically allowing you to hear exactly what I'm hearing in the room, or very close to it. You'll hear that when I hit a note, it begins to repeat on my right, then on my left, then behind me. And the repeats trail off together, but they're all happening at different times. And it's really that sort of variation between the sets of echoes that's giving us this really, really big soundscape that exceeds what you get with a mono delay or even with the stereo delay. We're working in 3 dimensions now. There's a few interesting and useful controls that allow you to vary some of the characteristics of the multi-tap or multi-head delay outputs. The first one is the HF damp control that allows you to darken the repeats. So we can have them really quite bright, sounding more like a modern digital delay, or we can darken them up to make them sound a little bit more like a vintage delay unit, which offers us some really nice textures that are different than the bright delays. It also allows us to play lines that are kind of dense and still use long repeat times or high feedback settings without having all those echoes kind of overwhelm what we're playing, because the darker repeats tend to jump out a little bit less. Another control that is available to us is the ratio control. And what this allows us to do is, instead of having all the sets of repeats decaying at the same rate, it allows us to bring in the first set of repeats a little bit louder than each subsequent set. So the amp on my right is actually going to start echoing louder than the one behind me, and the one to my left will be come in at an even lower volume level than the one behind me. You'll see it kind of gives us a trailing off effect in 3 dimensions. So the repeats trail off more rapidly, but they trail off in 3 dimensions. Louder over here, and then moving as the repeats move around, they get quieter. So you get sort of an additional 3-dimensional movement happening. Finally, we have the head gap control that simulates changing the distance between the playback heads on a tape delay. And what this allows us to do is get a variation in the timing between the sets of delays. So here it is turned fully fully clockwise for a more varied timing. So you get a little bit less of a pulse delay and more variations in the timing between the sets. Now, this delay pedal also functions as a very nice sounding and musical regular digital delay with 2 outputs, and it works as a looper as well, allowing you, like other loopers, to layer different sounds and play over them if you choose to. But what really sets this pedal apart, and I think the reason you would want to consider it, is its ability to emulate multi-head tape delays and to have up to 5 outputs that you can route in various ways in a live setting to create huge soundscapes, or in a studio setting to do some really interesting things as well. And I definitely recommend it for that kind of an application. It's pretty unique in terms of its format and its particular ability to do that stuff. And if you're going to buy it from Rock and Roll Vintage here in Chicago. Why? Because they're cool. They're just cool. Trust me on that. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye and play with my pedal. Until next time, this is Just Nick.